Good girl. So I am just taking Mareda straight out of her field this evening and gonna just get right to work. There's not a whole lot we need to prep for. All right, come on. I worked all day today, so we are just gonna do this kind of as expedited as we can. Well, that was a... Oh, don't run me over. What are you doing? So there's her nervousness. She doesn't normally run at me, so that was different. But that's her spookiness. Welcome to the world of Mareda. I'm gonna turn on this video, or this recorder. Come here. Okay, so this might be a little quirky to some of you, but sometimes, a lot of times, Mareda holds a lot of tension, and you see she always wants to look over at the neighbor. So one of the things I've started, and I don't let them eat without a very distinct cue when it comes to grass. So you'll see that she's not going to be allowed to eat any kind of grass while we're out here working. So we're not out here to graze, we're out here to learn. So I'm going to go through her body and just kind of see where she's holding some tension, maybe where she's itchy even. You can use that. So I'm going to touch her all over, and I'm pushing in a little bit into her ribs. See how much I'm pushing in? Because I want her to feel kind of that friction, especially in this area. And I'll kind of move their skin back and forth a little. She's gonna keep trying to get it. Because if you think of the saddle when it sits here, in your saddle pad, they can feel that kind of rubbing against them. And since she gets real nervous when I'm up here, my goal is to get her really comfortable with me touching and rubbing and all of that. So same thing in her rear end. I'm gonna feel how her muscles feel. Don't walk towards me. See if there's any tension in here. We don't graze. Push her over a minute. Pick up her legs. We're not doing that. We'll do some stretching. I'll see if she's resistant. And she's kind of wanting to eat, so let me see here. Good girl. So she's letting me pick up her leg. Again, I'm just checking for resistance with her, and I know this seems like an odd way to do it, because trust me, I think it is too, but I don't know, I just have a feeling it might help her. So I'm gonna do it. So checking for any tension. She's a little stiff in here. Again, same thing, just kind of rub. Nope, we're not grazing. Hey, the girth area, don't want to forget that. She did a little tail swish and she touched me with her nose. Those are signs that she didn't really care for that. Let's do that again. No tail swish that time, that was good. I don't want to pull on this, just got it here to stop her from grazing if I need to. Sorry. Got me gun shy. I thought you were going to eat grass. Touching these regions. And I am going to pick up her back legs. Sometimes she kicks out. Good girl. Good. She's letting me move it around. Good job. Come over here. Easy. Good girl. All right. I'm just picking it up, making sure she's okay with that. And there you'll see a little injury she got. Looks like she bumped it open. We'll have to stick some medicine back on there when we're done. Your scab came off. Okay, so we're good to go. We can walk now. Actually, I forgot my whip. Okay, so for our first easy pattern, this isn't actually a pattern, I'm actually just gonna have her yield her hind end. Good girl. And since we're going in that direction, have her yield her front end just to move the body parts around. Good girl. So move this one, move this side, and maybe I touch her a little. Good girl. This is just to move her around, see where she's at, see if there's any sticky parts. Good girl, good job. Okay, walk on. So I like her to stay out. I'll give her a little touch. Kind of think of like where my leg might hit, or about that region. And I'm gonna cut this short for just a second. I normally walk her up more towards that bush I have right there, but I want to move this. We're just gonna do our walk. Now I like to start kind of the same each time, because that consistency tells me if we're struggling with something simple or not today. And some days, you know, we don't make it past our little rectangle. But I try and make sure I do straight lines with her. And I typically kind of like her head right about where it is. If it went down just a little bit more, that'd be fine. You see, she looks out. That's her thing. I keep my whip kind of like I have it, just to show her. And there's her thing. Go back where you were. So she sees the neighbor. So that doesn't always happen, so that's new, that the neighbor's out. So we're just gonna keep going here. Stop. Just let her look. Just let her look and take a minute. Take it in. It's okay to give your horse time to process. Some people want to get after them and make them run and really get them going. Well, that's only going to increase her adrenaline, so let's just let her look. I don't have anywhere to be right now, but to make sure that this training session is as pleasant for both of us as we can make it. So that was good. She took a minute to process. Good girl. So you see, when she gets nervous, a lot of times her go-to thing is to rear, which is why I wanted the chain on, because it's easier to get her mind back with the chain on than it is when she just has her rope halter on, and it's pretty much useless to have just the flat halter on and keep control of her. She has gotten away from me trying to use all my gentle stuff with her. That's not where she's at right now, so I need to have control. That's what I do to do it. If it's not your cup of tea, cool. Okay, so we're gonna turn here now. We're gonna change direction. She knows these cues. Yield the hind end, yield the front end. I like her to move away from me, so I make sure that my whip is there just as a visual cue of where I want her. And actually, I'm gonna pause here a minute, so I want her to look at me. Ooh, good girl. So she's still looking at the neighbor, and I want to change this over, so I'm just gonna do it quick and calmly. So I have her on the other side now. Okay, good girl. So put my arm up, let her know I'm over here and I want her to go that way. Sometimes people forget horses see different than us, and I like to make sure that my horse can clearly see my body language. So I kind of get in their face sometimes a little bit with my arm, keep my arms up. So she's a little distracted right now, but this is just our warm-up walk. I might do things to try and cue her in, so she's speeding along. She's like, oh, I'm getting nervous. So I'm gonna have her just circle around me a second, try and get her attention back. So if she starts speeding up a lot, so we're kind of getting little bit distracted here. We'll just bring it back. Good girl. So I'm gonna start asking her to give me more focus here momentarily. So I kind of want her just to get a look around. I mean, that's fair, right? Just let them have a little look around. And then I want to start saying, hey, pay attention to me. Excuse me. So I can kind of touch that hind end, kind of bring that focus back a little. Good girl. So I can test her. If she wants to look away, I can test her. So we're done our regular basic warm-up here. So I'm just gonna run through some are you paying attention exercises. And her head is, her eyes trail off, but her body is still with me. She's still moving that when I ask. I'm gonna back up a little bit, yield to that hind end. There we go. Good girl. Okay, so for our next little excursion as to where she's at with her training, we're gonna walk the bigger track now, which we kind of graduated to that yesterday again because the rain and the wind really made that a little too challenging for where she's at right now. So good girl. Okay, so I'm gonna push her out, hands up. And I do want her to stay away from me on the bigger track because she can get a little nervous out there. And I don't feel like getting run over. So I keep her back some, I keep her away some. I'm losing light. I don't know what you're gonna see here. So I kind of want her up with me, but not right beside my shoulder per se. So I want her paying attention. So I'll give her a little tug and see she's speeding up, and I want her to slow down. And why am I not using the lead rope to slow her down? Well, because I want her to learn to do that from her body. And then you'll see when I do this, see her head goes up. She kind of tenses this up. So as we go on here, she gets a little bit more in tune with me and warmed up. I'll show you how, well, not necessarily warmed up, I shouldn't say that, a little more relaxed. I'll start to ask her to keep her head down. Walk on. Good girl. When I ask her to slow down, but she's not there yet. Good girl. So part of on my track here, I have a little log she can go over. Oh, good, relax. Good girl. And I want her to slow down. Okay. Good girl. Ooh, good job. Okay. And now this area here was an old garden, so it's a little bit lumpy and bumpy, which is good for training their balance and giving them a different proprioception, I think is the right word. Okay, so we're gonna go the other way. Oops, drop my stuff. Good girl. She already knew what to do. Switch this up. Good girl. Okay. Okay. A little attitude-ish there. We're gonna go back on this. I want her away from me. So this side, for a lot of horses, their right side, a lot of times they're more reactive side. So let me make sure our slow down with the whip works. Good girl. Walk on. So go over a log. Yeah, Okay, so I wasn't sure if she was gonna rear up there, so I did give a little tug on the rope along with the cue of the whip. So we're gonna do that again. So you might think, oh, she put her head down, she's relaxed, but no, she's not really. Her neck still looks quite stiff. So whoop. So let's try and do this slowly. Walk. Yeah, good job. And whoop, and back. Good girl. Nice job. So the funny thing with her is when she gets like really tense like this, sometimes when you touch her, she's kind of like, ah! So it's good for me to come in here and kind of rub on her and make sure that she's still okay with that. So let's do our stop. Walk on. Good girl. Good job, good girl. So now she's getting a little bit more relaxed. She's still got that slight tension in there, but so let's try our stop now. Oh, look, she even squared up the front. I do love when you square up the front. Good girl. Okay, walk on. So let's see if we can do that stop again. Very nice. So she's just keeping her neck in a straight position, which is fine. Prefer that over her tensing that underside muscle. So let's try that again. Okay, she raised it a little bit, so we're getting towards her scarier zone, if you will, her more distracted zone. I'm gonna try again. No. Walk on. Good. And if I can get a pretty square halt, that would be great too. So during all this ground training, I kind of look at like, what am I going to want her to do for her profession, which is going to be Western dressage, and try and incorporate little bits of that throughout very early stages. So I just want to make sure I'm starting to see signs that we are getting maneuvers, if you will, even though it might be a stop, in a way that still keeps her frame and still keeps her, quite frankly, looking beautiful. Good girl. All right, so that's our walk on the track, practicing our stop. So now she gets her road work, which is more for her feet and her legs and tendons than for her brain, but it's good for that too. Good girl. See, she knows when to really behave, don't you? Don't you, my pretty girl? Okay. All right, so let me turn off the other video because you're not going to see a thing. I'm kind of hoping you'll see the one I have with the GoPro. Okay, come. Sorry, now we're getting in where we're into fall, so we're getting dark early. All right, so let's get down here to this road. She's normally fine on the road. Sometimes she has some issues getting to the road. We have some junk here the old owners were nice enough to leave behind. We haven't gotten rid of yet, so that gets scary. It's kind of like a scary zone for a lot of them, which is sort of funny. And then because I want to walk her on different terrain, I've got the rocks, which if you can't see in this video, you'll see in some other videos, I'm sure. So she gets to walk here. It's rocky, it's a little sandy, it's got sticks and twigs, and so she's speeding up a little too fast. There we go, good girl. Nose is flaring some. All right, let's take a look down the road. No traffic. Okay, come. So hard surfaces, if you have the ability to train on, are great because most places don't have a lot of hard ground, and and it's really good to build up their tendons and their feet and their bones, having that impact. She's barefoot, so her being on this isn't going to be quite as dangerous as a horse with shoes, because she's not got metal on asphalt. So she's starting to really like her little road walks. She's looking good. Every once in a while she'll step on a rock. So I generally do this a few times, try to, at least a few times, if not more. So we'll be here for a little bit. But just to kind of conclude this video, the first video of the 100 days of training Mareda, I think it's good. We're closing on the sunset. But I hope you enjoyed this, and I actually hope that you really enjoy the whole rest of this series. And I cannot wait to see Mareda at the end of this, because I feel like we'll be able to ride pretty good and have some fun times together moving forward. And I don't know what she heard, but she heard a little something and scooted forward. But at least it wasn't right at me this time, so that's good. Alright guys, well, thanks for watching. See you next time.